So this one is, what are some common mistakes that you see marketers make when entering new channels like retargeting, etc.? And maybe so we can answer this about retargeting specifically, but also just new marketing channels. What are some common mistakes? Anything that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, you've probably heard me say it multiple times, but not creating a funnel.
Yeah.
So we see this a lot where people set up retargeting campaigns, a lot of which are competing against each other, targeting the same exact audience. And a lot of them maybe either cold or not very highly warm prospects, and then you get confused why you're not seeing conversions. And my answer is always that first it takes time to build an audience and then actually move them through the funnel. So if you have an $1,000 ticket sale and you launch 3 retargeting campaigns to your broad website audience, and for 2 weeks, you may not see conversions right away, especially if they're competing against each other too for the same exact audience.
Right.
And so it's important to recognize that there are a lot of factors that come into play of how to move someone through a funnel and how to set up your retargeting campaigns. Timing is super important, your natural audience buying behavior. So if you're on a membership decline, so that means the demand for membership is going down. A retargeting campaign isn't overnight going to make you be in positive net growth for membership, right? The demand is there, the offer is lacking. And so it's important to realize that retargeting is just a tool to get a message in front of your audience. It is not going to solve for lack of demand per se. So it's important to switch up creative, switch up your offer, make sure that you're giving enough time to run and analyze these retargeting campaigns and not just launching one and hoping to see like immediate results.
Yes. Broadly, do you recommend typically that any given audience is only seeing one offer at a time? Do you think that's a best practice?
I wouldn't say that's a broad best practice. It really depends. But you want to be mindful about how the frequency of those ads being served and what the offers are and how many. So I would say maybe 2 offers at a low frequency over a given month is much more acceptable than having 5 different offers highly saturating an audience over a short period of time, because then you're just going to confuse the audience. But I wouldn't say that you only need 1 at all times, but it's important, again, if you're new to retargeting, try 1 or test 2 at the same time and see which one is more, getting more engagement. Learnings.
Cool. I think one of the things that I think about is, again, related to a point that I've made already today, is that entering a new channel is not the point of success. I think that's so important to internalize, is that it's usually the like exciting, like sexy part. And you think about it from like a new campaign or a new channel standpoint. It's like maybe you launch a podcast and like that feels fun and exciting. But and this is getting away from channels into the realm of like new marketing campaigns. So like say you launch a podcast, it can feel like the win to launch the podcast, and it's certainly something to be celebrated. But that's just the beginning of creating success through that campaign. And I think the same thing is true for like all marketing channels. Like maybe you're not on YouTube and you make a YouTube channel and you post your first video. It's like, again, it's something to be celebrated. It's something to be proud of. But that's just the beginning of a long trek. And I think that as marketers, especially as there are so many channels, it's kind of like you can have like channel and campaign ADD, where it's like you launch a new channel or you launch a new program or a new campaign, and maybe you invest in it for a short amount of time, and then if it's not working at a certain expected level, then it's deemed that campaign or that channel is broken. Whereas really the problem is that it hasn't been invested into properly. And so I think that it's important as marketers to stay with the times and make sure that we are communicating in the channels that people are actually responding to. So like, Facebook, LinkedIn, programmatic retargeting, like these channels are kind of just like proven channels. People are spending a ton of time on their phones and on their computers and on their devices, paying attention to those channels. So absolutely they're part of like any modern marketer's toolkit today is to be active in those channels. But to not spread yourself too thin from a channel or a program standpoint so that you can actually invest enough into these channels to make them as successful as they can be. I think that's a mistake that I've seen myself make and that I've seen other marketers make, is kind of celebrating the beginning of a new program or a new channel, and not either planning for or expecting that it's going to be several months of investment into a new program or into a new channel before you're really going to have a pulse on how performant that
Right.
thing is for you. And again, I think that the modern kind of marketing landscape kind of exaggerates that problem and aggravates that problem because there's always a new marketing tech vendor or a new channel or a new course from somebody, at a marketing agency. And not saying that these things are bad, but that they can be a distraction where, you decide to drop your investment, say in your YouTube channel, to move into a podcast where actually you were just around the corner in terms of investing in the YouTube channel from a very successful outcome,
Right.
but you cut it early, and that ends up being like your biggest weak point, is that you're cutting things 2 months early
Right.
several times in a row, and so then you end up with like a lack of success
Right,
from those kind of things.
And I think, coming off of that point is testing is so important, and that's something we see a lot of people who are starting to do retargeting or any advertising campaigns fall into the trap of wanting results right away, but also not testing, and realizing that testing phase, even if you're not getting ROI, it's incredibly insightful to be able to understand more of what messages and audience groups are resonating with your organization or with your offer. That alone can inform all of your other marketing strategy, and you can get those insights firsthand from advertising campaigns. And so it's just important to realize that, it might take a couple months of like trying to really test your offer, your audience, your overall, saturation point, all of those factors, your creative, your landing page, and that's fine. That's part of the process, and that's it's. Everyone goes through that. You shouldn't be discouraged. If anything, you now have way more insights about your organization and what people are responding to and resonating with.
Right.